Welcome to Life Science Today, your source for stories, insights, and trends across the life science industry. I'm your host, Dr. Noah Goodson. This week, $145 million opioid acquisition, biobucks for the holidays, a Series A, and diabetes approvals. The views expressed on Life Science Today are those of the host and guests. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any organizations with which they are affiliated. Opioids are a dangerous business these days, as pharmaceutical companies shutter their doors and everyone from the companies making the drugs to the pharmacies distributing them loses or settles lawsuits. In this market, it's not very often that you hear of opioid companies being acquired. The exception to that is, of course, opioid and substance abuse therapeutics. One of the leaders in the space, Indivior plc, announced plans to acquire Opiant Pharmaceuticals for $145 million at $20 a share upfront, with an additional $8 per share in milestones. While Opiant has an early phase alcohol use therapy and some preclinical assets, the real value of the deal rests on the pre-NDA nasal spray for opioid overdose. In clinical trials, it proved to have a faster onset and longer duration compared to a standard of care, naloxone. This grant-backed pipeline was fully funded through both NIDA and BARDA and was submitted to the FDA just at recording of this podcast for approval. Positive outcomes are expected as early as February 2023. While these therapeutics don't treat the underlying causes of the opioid epidemic and wide availability of synthetic fentanyl, they may cut back on some of the 81,000 deaths that occurred in the last year alone. Regeneron has signed a biobucks deal with CytomX worth up to $2 billion, with just $30 million up front, to develop conditionally activated bispecific cancer therapeutics. CytomX's Probody therapeutic platform leverages a specific facet of tumors to decrease the impact on healthy tissue. Imagine the classic Y shape of an antibody. The two extended arms of the Y are where the binding portion that targets the tissue is. Imagine you place a lid on the ends of the Y and that lid could be removed in a cancerous microenvironment. That's basically what CytomX's platform does. The lid is called a masking peptide. It's connected with a substrate linker that can be cleaved by protease enzymes. These protease enzymes occur at high levels in the tumor microenvironment, making it much more likely for the antibody to be activated where it's needed. The second half of this technology duo is that Regeneron hopes to combine these with their VelociBi platform to make bispecific antibodies that are specifically targeted to tumors with decreased impact on other tissue for novel antibody-drug conjugate approaches. This is all very preclinical, but suggests that the classic biobucks investment in combined technologies are still very much part of how pharma plans to build their portfolios. Something we've not seen very much of in 2022 is substantial Series A funding rounds. The San Francisco-based biotech Rezo Therapeutics has bucked this trend, coming out of stealth with a $78 million funding round backed by a range of venture capital partners. What they have to bring in this level of capital in 2022 is basically scientific clout. Their founding talent pool is full of recognized names with a major track record of scientific success. The platform itself is a drug discovery platform, but ultimately this strikes me as a bet on a team more than a specific idea or process. Time will tell what comes out of Rezo, but for now, they're off to a good start in a tough year to start a biotech. Provention Bio has secured FDA approval to delay the onset of stage 3 type 1 diabetes in children older than 8 and adults with the infusion therapy Tzield. The progression from stage 2 to stage 3 diabetes is a major milestone in disease burden and symptoms. Each year, this can be delayed, not only represents a major decrease in disease burden with increased quality of life, but also significantly reduces the risk of serious life-threatening complications. In clinical trials, Tzield effectively delayed the onset of stage 3 for patients with stage 2. A little over a year ago, Provention created a strategic partnership with Sanofi for promotion. This agreement kicks in now, with Sanofi's major existent diabetes assets like insulin pills and Reach being a major asset to Provention in expanding the rollout and distribution of this novel therapeutic. Thanks for joining me for Life Science Today, your source for stories, insights, and trends across the life science industry. Learn more on lifesciencetodaypodcast.com. And if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. Once again, I'm Dr. Noah Goodson. I'll see you next week.